I've been receiving death threats.
Explosive devices thought to be grenades thrown at homes of 2 opposition MPs against removal of presidential age limit in Uganda. Madagascans are forced to wear face masks as the WHO warns of a highly contagious plague that has killed several people. A number of African leaders in Ouagadougou to attend a memorial concert for former Burkina Faso President Thomas Sankara. And tonight, questions of a decision to close down East Africa's second largest public university over security concerns. Is there more than meets the eye? We'll talk to experts. Of course, the program begins right now. This is Bottomline Africa. That story, last story in our highlights, will form the basis of our Twitter poll tonight. And we're asking you, do you believe security is the main reason for the closure of the University of Nairobi? Let me just take that again. Do you believe security is the main reason for the closure of the University of Nairobi? Our Twitter handle is at KTN News. You can as well tweet me at Yusuf Ibra. Always remember to use the hashtag Bottomline Africa. And I'm going to go through some of your comments within the program. Of course, that question is informed by the fact that we are discussing tonight why political and security situation in African countries is becoming a major issue to education across Africa. Now, first we have to begin from right here in Kenya, where the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission continued with its attempts to find a middle ground among the 2 leading political players ahead of a presidential election later this month. Kenyan opposition leader Raila Odinga met with the IEBC commissioners led by Wafula Chebukati. The commission later met separately with Deputy President William Ruto. The opposition leaders insist that the IEBC panel in its present form should be barred from managing the October 26th vote. NASA lawyer James Orengo said nothing was agreed in the meeting. The talks came as the Joint Parliamentary Select Committee on the Controversial Election Amendments Laws kicked off its public hearing on the draft amendment bill.
Okay. This meeting, none of the issues that were raised as irreducible minimum for purposes of holding an election within the 60 days required by the Constitution and the Supreme Court from the date of the determination of the election petition on the 1st of September 2017, none of those demands that we made have been met or responded to. And we left on the basis that nothing has been agreed.
As a party, we have no conditions. We have no minimum conditions. We have no irreducible minimum conditions.
Of course, that is Kenya's electoral body IEBC trying to find a middle ground between the 2 main protagonists. That is the Jubilee Party, the ruling party, and the opposition NASA. Now over to some development in Uganda, where suspected grenades have been used in attacks on the homes of 2 opposition members of parliament. One of them, the singer turned politician known as Bobi Wine. Police are investigating attacks on the homes of Bobi Wine, otherwise known as Robert Kyangulanyi, MP for Kiandondo West, and Alan Sewanya, MP for Makidye West. The attacks happened in the early hours of today. Last week, an attack was reported in the home of another opposition member of parliament, Moses Kasibante, who represents Rubaga North. In a Facebook post, Bobi Wine said no one had been hurt in the blast at his home. He said he had been receiving quote-unquote death threats on an almost daily basis. Uganda media reports that the MPs whose homes were attacked were among a group who were suspended from parliament following chaotic scenes.
Was thrown and it hit here, as you can see. Another hit here, according to the police. This is the bedroom of my eldest son. And when it exploded, I don't know, maybe it's by the grace of God. I've been receiving death threats on my life. I've been receiving anonymous calls warning me to stop opposing the removal of the age limit or I will be killed.
For all the 3, police has quickly intervened And we have established so far that these are factory-made hand grenades whose effect onto the victims is not big, is not fatal.
Remember, Solomon Serawanja, my colleague from Kampala, Uganda, will be giving us updates as they unfold there in Uganda. Now let's cross over to Tanzania, where President John Magufuli, Tanzania's no-nonsense leader, has revealed that he has a monthly salary of 9 million, well, not Kenyan shillings, but Tanzanian shillings, which is an equivalent of $4,000 US. This will work out at about a quarter of the amount his predecessor, Jakaya Kikwete, got. If figures collected by the Africa Review 3 years ago are correct. President Magufuli made the revelation live on television this morning in a speech to the Association of Local Authorities as he emphasized the importance of his anti-corruption drive, nicknamed the Bulldozer. Magufuli, who took office in 2015, is known for making spot visits to state-run institutions in his efforts to root out absenteeism and corruption.
Nenye vijana endeleeni kufanya kazi. Serikali ipo. Na machifu executive wa namna hiyo wapo. Na wakishaenda kule, ile board member wale wanakuja wanakaa wanampandisha mshahara kwa mwezi mpaka milioni 40. Mshahara wangu mimi ni milioni 9. Naeleza ukweli. Nikasema hizi lazima tuzikate. Wao wamesomaje hawa? Anayetaka kufanya kazi afanye, anayetaka ambaye hataki aondoke. Tumezikata mwisho 15 milioni. Akiona hawezi aondoke. Wako wangapi hapa wa kufanya kazi hizo? Wengi tu na wako committed. Issue si kuwa profesa, issue ni commitment ya moyo wako wa kufanya kazi.
Issue ni commitment ya moyo wako. That is the message from Magufuli there. He is well known to be no-nonsense, but at the same time, it tends to be controversial. Now, let's cross over to Madagascar, where the World Health Organization is rapidly scaling up its response to an outbreak of plague in Madagascar that has spread to the capital and port towns, infecting more than 100 people in just a few weeks. While Madagascar is fighting the plague epidemic, the Secretary General of the Malagasy Ministry of Public Health, Jose Ratrizaron, says cases seem to be increasing, but that authorities are handling all cases they've been able to identify. Meanwhile, pest control is being implemented in several schools at the capital in the hopes of preventing further spreading of the disease. The epidemic is endemic to Madagascar, where around 400 cases of mostly bubonic plague are reported annually.
On est en période épidémique, ça veut dire
we are in an epidemic period, which means we're in the middle of a plague season, which means there'll be more cases. At the military hospital, there's only one case being treated now. At the Ambohindriana hospital, at the Befelanta hospital, there are 2 cases being treated now. The rest come down. What does that mean? Cases seem to be increasing, but we are handling the cases we've been able to identify.
mais on arrive à maîtriser les cas qu'on a pu identifier.
Là, vous avez vu tout à l'heure, on a fait d'abord depuis ce matin.
Since this morning, we have been raising awareness among students, parents, teachers, and administrative staff, raising awareness about transmission, symptoms of the plague, and from this afternoon onwards, thanks to the help and contribution of the Ministry of Health, we're in the phase of disinsecticization of all schools in Tana City.
De toutes les écoles à Tana ville.
This is to capture rats to eliminate fleas from rats. When the rats smell the fish and onions, they go in there and soak up the treatment, and when they come out, they take the treatment home and pass it on to other rats through their hair.
Over to some developments in South Africa, where South African President Jacob Zuma has met with the Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe in Pretoria today during Mugabe's official visit to the country to attend the second session of the South Africa-Zimbabwe Binational Commission. Mugabe arrived without his wife, Grace Mugabe, who is accused of assaulting a 20-year-old South African model, Gabrielle Angels, last month. Addressing the meeting, President Mugabe wished the African National Congress Party, that is the ANC, well in the run-up to its elective conference in December. A number of bilateral agreements are in place to help both countries strengthen their relations.
You add to the... No, let me start this side. A gumbo. My mother was a gumbo. And so in view of the rapid frequency in the occurrence of climate change, there is need to develop a regional approach to disaster preparedness. I think together we should look at how we can protect our economies from those who would want to destroy them using this ICT technology. We wish the ANC every success at that Congress so that it can continue into the future renewed and strengthened.
Zimbabwean strongman there, Robert Mugabe, speaking in South Africa. He's 93. He's also expected to defend his seat in the next general election there in Zimbabwe. Now, still in South Africa, the family of South African athlete Oscar Pistorius is threatening to take legal action against the makers of a new film about him. Now, the movie called Blade Runner Killer is due to be released in the US next month and centers around the murder trial of the disgraced Olympian. Now, the double amputee is currently in jail for killing his girlfriend, model River Steenkamp. The film recreates some of the events around Steenkamp's killings on Valentine's Day in 2013. The Steenkamps have said they had no prior knowledge of the film.
Stay where you are, don't stay! Just tell me what happened.
He's smothering you.
He fired down. He's telling us a pack of lies.
It's the cold facts that make it a premeditated murder.
Away from that, now people gathered in Ouagadougou for a rally in support of the construction of a memorial site that will pay tribute to former Burkina Faso president and revolutionary Thomas Sankara. Now, the concert was attended by, among others, former Ghanaian President John Kerry Rawlings. Sankara is still admired in West Africa for his ideas such as promoting women. Former Burkinabe President Blaise Compaoré, who fled the country in 2015, is sought after to answer to charges of murder of Sankara, who was killed in unclear circumstances in 1987. Compaoré fled the country after almost 3 decades in power.
S'il existe une prison, elle ne sera pas assez grande pour les
This project was brought about on the one hand by a group of the African and international civil society, which is composed of writers, film directors, artists, friends of the fight of the revolution of August 3rd, and on the other hand by the state of Burkina Faso. The construction of a memorial bases its hope first on the will, determination and commitment of the people through popular subscription. Our slogan is a project of the people for a man of the people.
Thomas Sankara believed in self-reliance, preferring that Burkina Faso win itself of international aid and other Western control interventions that have over time become an extension of colonialism. The wealth of resources on the continent is incalculable, and the time has come for countries like yours to access these resources to the benefit of the people and not for the benefit of just a handful of individuals who then choose to use that wealth to abuse the rest of the populace. Let us honor Thomas Sankara not only through monuments and historical references, but also through the practical manifestations of every citizen of Burkina Faso. Dare to do right and dare to be an outstanding citizen of your country, because you have the power as individuals to affect change.
Now, Senegalese authorities have prevented the opening of a Bosfor High School in Dakar, which belongs to Yavuz Salim Private Schools. Senegal revoked the association's license last year. Yavuz Salim schools are managed by Turkish association Dasket Getim, linked to Turkish cleric Fethullah Gulen. Now, Gulen, who is in exile in the United States, is sought by Turkey, which blames him for last year's attempted coup. Most leading institutions associated with Gulen in other parts of Africa, including the Bridge schools in East Africa, have been facing a similar challenge.
There is no connection between the school board that has been there for 20 years and the Turkish rebellion. I can testify to that since I have worked there for 20 years. We will fight alongside courageous people to sort out this problem. This accusation is baseless. It's just a stunt. We don't care about political problems. What matters to us is that our children go back to class and to school. We've made a lot of sacrifices to get them into this school. This school has an exceptional proven record dating back 20 years in terms of success.
Now, Ivory Coast, the world's top cocoa grower, on Sunday set its minimum rate for farmers at 700 CFA francs per kilo for the 2017-2018 crop, a steep drop over the previous year due to falling global prices. Although production increased 28.5% to a record 2.15 million tons in the 2016-2017 season, while cocoa prices have fallen by more than a third. The minimum price guaranteed to farmers was 1,100 CFA francs, about $1 per kilo, at the start of the 2016-2017 season. But the Ivorian government had to lower the price to 700 CFA francs in April due to falling prices in international markets, which was linked to overproduction in relation to demand and aggravated by the weakness of the pound against the euro.
Of the board of directors, a proposal approved by the government, the price of market quality and well-dried cocoa for the 2017-2018 harvest season is fixed at 700 CFA francs per kilo. For the new season, we have explained the parameters of the new price. Otherwise, the farmer is never satisfied with it. But given what we were told of a decline in world prices, we accept the new price. Yes, it is difficult. It is true. The price is disappointing, but one mustn't be ungrateful towards the Ivorian state. For 2 years, our prices have been higher than in neighboring countries, and I believe that Ghana was able to hold the Ivorians. We must also hold. Producers have to hold since, because for more than 5 years now, prices have been only climbing. A beautiful woman can only give what she has. It is true that we are producers. If this price is maintained throughout the 2018 season, I don't think the farmers will have too many problems. Here we thank God, because it is a price that we already experienced during the intermediate campaign. We can accept it like that.
Well, and that story from Ivory Coast takes us to a very short break. But when we come back, we'll have a studio discussion which revolves around education in Africa. And we're asking why political and security is becoming a major issue to education across the continent. We have our guest ready with us in studio, composed of Michael Agwanda, Florence Mashio, as well as Jonathan Wasier. Both Jonathan and Michael are educationists. Florence is a representative from Equality Now, a human rights group. We'll have that discussion right after this break. And we're going to look at Events Africa as we take that break. Stay with us.